Right, so because these biceps would be for, at least from the 3/4 view and this view here, the front view, these biceps would be pretty large. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to reduce their size a little bit. Because the person here would be a very big person. So let's go ahead and just make it a little bit thinner. Try to make sure it goes into the same spots though. This is going to be the hard part. Trying to reduce the size and keep it to where I had it, where I had it connected. Just go around there and there and connect there. Right, so that should work. Actually, really, it's just this part right here I need to reduce. So let's go ahead and grab that, make it a little bit thinner. Let's see here. So that's all I'm doing right now. I'm just reducing the size, just so you know. So I'll go ahead and pause while I do that. Right, so the biceps are reduced, and so we're going to work on the under muscles here for a second. And just the pectoralis minor, which really isn't that important to learn. In fact, I would argue it's not important at all to learn for art. But nonetheless, we'll learn where they go. They're a very minor under muscle. They're never visible. And I don't think they make any difference even to the pec itself, like how the pec will look if you build these up. But nonetheless, we'll go ahead and put them on there. So they start from the third, fourth, and fifth rib, and they actually attach to the rib and not to the costal cartilage here. So they actually attach to the rib, start from the third one, and there are thin muscles. They attach here to the scapula. I'll go ahead and I'll turn this layer up again. Alright, so they're just like this. Then we have another one here. And we're only going to learn these from the front view because they're not, like I said, they're not important. Right, like so. Do the same thing for this side. So again, it starts at the third rib. Oops. And the fourth rib. And the fifth rib. And make it a little bit thicker. We'll go ahead and add some dark lines here. Like so. A couple light lines. Maybe just like one. And then some tendons where they attach. And that's it. There's really not much to learn here. They're not important, like I said. Right, then we're going to go to the, actually I'm going to go and turn this layer down again. Lock it so I don't actually paint on it. And we'll go back to the outer muscles. And now we'll draw the pecs. So we know the overall shape of the pec is going to be something like, it's going to come down here. It's going to be shaped something like this. Right, that's the overall shape of the pec. But we're going to learn the muscles that make up the shape, just like we learn the muscles of the other things. And as we begin to add on the deltoid and everything, what you're going to start to see is how you get the shape of the arm. And you add the tricep and so forth. So when you learn the muscles and how to put them on, then you'll automatically know the contours of the human body. Alright, so the pectoralis major connects in a few places. So it connects on the ridge here of the collarbone, also called the clavicle. It'll connect all the way down here along the sternum. And then finally it'll connect to the, it depends on the person, it can either be the 6th or 7th rib. It'll just kind of come down here to the 6th or 7th rib. Then it's going to connect in 3 spaces here. There's like, almost like you can think of it as 3 different muscles, right? And that's how we're going to draw it. And it's going to connect right here. So it's going to go over the bicep. Alright, so first we'll draw the edge where it connects here. So it kind of skips that little edge right there and connects all the way along the edge here. I actually want to go a little bit farther in, about like so. Goes along the clavicle or collarbone, like this, and then it's going to have the first muscle. We'll think about it as three different muscles. It's going to be on the very top. So it comes over here and it connects to the side of the humerus bone. Goes over the bicep, connects to the side of the humerus bone. It actually connects to the inside groove, but it does go over the biceps, but actually connects to the, like, it's kind of on the inside of this little groove here, I think. But we'll just attach it like this. And this kind of comes up to about this corner here. This is the shape of the first muscle. This is the one on the top of the other ones. Where it connects over here, it connects on top of the other muscles. And we'll go ahead and, actually I'll just use this one for right here to show the ligament structure there. And then there's just going to be like a ligament structure along, not ligament, excuse me, tendon type structure. And we'll just make the very edge of this like that. It's going to come down, like I said, either to the 6th or 7th rib. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 is the one that begins here, and then 7. And it's not connected to the rib, but to the costal margin. And it will either be right about here and then come up, or it's going to be down here and then start to curve up like this. And depending on the person, you can actually get an interesting kind of look here where it kind of comes down like this, where you have the muscle that looks like that. It depends how developed their muscle is. We'll come down to the 7th, and that's where it connects. So I'm just going to show the connection spot there. Use a smaller brush and just show a little bit of how the tendon muscle is connecting here. Just go ahead and draw a few light lines separating, and then finally a few dark lines separating. That thick line wasn't supposed to be there. Right, so now we have that first part of the muscle. Now temporarily I'm going to go ahead, just know that this next muscle, the middle muscle, is going to go. No, we'll do the next one, which is on top. We'll start with the ones that are most on top. So the bottom muscle is the next muscle that's most on top. It's under this muscle, right where it connects to the bone, but it's on top of the middle one. We're going to just kind of draw the basic shape of a pec here. It's going to go like this. And it connects right up here. You'll see part of it. So it kind of connects to this upper part. This connects to the lower part of the arm. This connects to the upper part, and the part connects to the middle. And it's going to come down. We'll just kind of shape it like this. There we go. I'm going to pick this gray color. Just kind of. Okay, for some reason I'm not picking gray. Just add a few lines like that. This is all cartilage up here as well. Make a darker color to show the separation between these two. I'll just use black. I want to show there's a clear separation between that where it connects there and there. Now we're just going to show a little bit of muscle like so. Show darkness right there where it's kind of overlapping. And then finally we have the middle muscle. And it's going to attach under all of these two muscles. It attaches in the middle underneath these two. What's important though is just that you know the general area where the muscle attaches, which is just on that part of the humerus bone. This is important to remember when someone's lifting their arm, and also helps understand how the armpit is formed with the pectoral muscle. We'll go and add some lines now. First, I want to show the separation here. The thicker. This also helps understand when you draw the pec muscle, why you draw certain lines within the pec muscle. Right, now I'm going to show the part that if you were to draw the muscle as it's developed, the part you're going to see more is here, like this. So this is the part of the muscle you see more when you're drawing it, and then the figure will come out here and so forth. You'll have the abs and whatnot. But I just want to show that that last little part where it connects on there is a lot weaker, and when you build the muscle, it's going to kind of have this shape to it. So it's not going to have really that shape to it. So it's going to be more right around here, and this under part here, if you do, it's going to be tucked under and shaded because it's thinner, and the other parts stick out more. So just keep that in mind. It'll help when you're drawing your figures, understand. But it's really important to understand how this pec works, and that it goes over the bicep and the deltoid goes over both of them. Right, so then for your exercise, go ahead and I didn't even have you do exercise for the pectoral, the minor, because, or the pectoralis minor, because it's not important. It's really not. So I just put it there just because. Right, just for you to know that it's there, just to be thorough. Okay, let's go ahead and draw on this side now, and we'll have the same thing. But first, do exercises, which is to draw this about 3 to 5 times. It's a pretty easy muscle to memorize, and it's not very complicated. So it shouldn't take you very long to memorize this, going back and forth, drawing it from memory, drawing it from reference to memory reference. And then don't look at it, cover up your paper, or cover up this side when you draw this side over here. That way, you're learning to draw the pectoral muscle from both sides. Again, it shouldn't be too hard to do because it's a pretty simple muscle. And actually, before I draw this side, I just want to show a few more of these little ridges coming in, just to show, that there is a kind of like tendon structure there. Alright, so just like before, we'll draw. Actually, this time, let's draw the middle one first. No, we'll draw the top one first again. So remember how far it comes down, about halfway down the clavicle. Comes and connects to the humerus bone. And then it kind of comes here, connects all along the edge like so. I'm going to draw the... First I'll go ahead and color this in. If you're following along and you're drawing with pencil, you do the same thing, but you just draw with the pencil. So you would, sketch this in, the outer shape of it, then you would draw the little tendon lines. Then, if you want to use like an eraser to erase some, and draw the lighter lines, and draw some of the darker, thicker lines. Just push harder on your pencil, or use a darker pencil if you want to. Right, now we'll draw the bottom. And we're drawing it as if the person's not very built. And I should have actually connected that a little bit lower, or even just made it thinner. This way you can see where this one's connecting. Remember, not everyone's goes down to the 7th costal cartilage there. Sometimes only goes down to the 6th, so just keep that in mind. So show a few of these little breaks here in the cartilage. Just go and add some highlights to the middle. Add some darker lines. I want to make the whole edge here dark as well. Make this dark right here. And also knowing that there's these three muscles can help you kind of figure out, and sometimes you can have this, darker line here in the middle, of that muscle there. Just knowing the direction of these lines, though, the fibers, will help you when you're drawing a very defined muscle, a very defined chest, which we will go through later on. You're going to see how that will help you do that, to get that proper definition where you want it. You know the muscle, you know the way the fibers go, and so you're going to be able to draw much more realistic pecs from your imagination without any effort. It becomes effortless. You reach this stage of, I guess, of bliss. It's really awesome. It's a stage of relaxation when you can just draw from your mind, and there isn't much thinking involved. You're just doing it, and to reach that stage is really awesome. And that's why I'm so inspired to make tutorials that are affordable for people, because I want them to be able to experience that for themselves. I remember how much I used to not like drawing that much. I mean, I would draw. I remember at first I used to love drawing, just from reference. It was fun. But after a while, that got old. And I'm just like, I don't know, I kind of started losing my love for art until I learned how to draw from my mind. And when I'm able to start, when I was able to start drawing from my mind and creating these really awesome images, that's when I'm like, yeah, now I'm loving art, and I've been loving it ever since. So, right, so now we have the pec muscles from the front, and also called the pectoralis major. As you can see, the pecs actually take up quite a bit of space, and I want to show you from a photograph that this is indeed true. Actually, I apologize, because this is a paid-for course. I'd have to go and find a photo that I have reference, or that I have rights to use under in a product that I sell. So, because it's not a free product, but nonetheless, just go check out some photos on like Google Images, and then what you'll see is that you have the navel is right about here, because the love handles, they attach to the clavicle, come up here, right? So when you have I'm just calling them love handles for now, and you have your belly button right around this area, you're going to see the rib cage, and you have your abdominal muscles and so forth. What's important to see, the chest, it comes down way down here, and you might even draw it where it comes out more like this. It depends if the chest is more developed. This muscle can actually come down more like this and have more of a shape like this. In fact, sometimes the pec can be so developed that it has kind of a shape like this, where it kind of comes down like so. And that could be due to developing the muscle underneath here that attaches, and maybe it comes out a little bit. Then you get this kind of look here. But anyway, just check out some chest muscles, and you're going to see that they come down quite far. Like, take the lowest part of the chest muscle and draw a line straight across where they intersect with the arm, and you're going to see it comes down quite far. So just know that when you're drawing your figure, and you have your stick man and everything, and you kind of draw on your stick man, that whatever form you decide to use for your stick figure, where they want to show the hips and the legs like this, that you have where where your chest is going to be, like where your sternum, about how far your sternum is, because you've mastered the skeleton already. And so you know how you have this space between these ratios here, between the rib cage and between the top of the pelvis. And because you know this, you know where the belly button is going to be, once we get there, we haven't got there yet, but because you know the skeleton, then okay, that's about how long the sternum goes down, so I know starting from here is where I can start putting my chest in. And so the measurements is something you want to keep in mind, that you have the total width of your from here down to here, about halfway, a little bit, not quite halfway, but almost halfway between the top of here and here, you have your middle section. That's the bottom. That's where the chest begins, or the bottom of the sternum. And also, check out Mastering the Human Figure. It has a lot of different, cool proportions that you're going to want to memorize as well. That will really help when you're drawing your figure. Okay, so I can go and erase all this now. It's not needed. Next, we'll draw the peck from the side view. You can probably start to figure it out because you know that you have this top part here that connects like this. It comes down, connects to the side of the humerus. Right? You know about where it connects over here, about how far down, because you can see how far down it connects here. Doesn't connect too far down. And then you have let's go ahead and just add a little bit of the tendon here. A little bit of the, actually I like to add that, last, so. The direction that these flow, the lines flow toward this way. Add a few highlight lines here in the center. Right, then we'll have the bottom one, which connects a little bit above here, comes underneath. And we know that how many ribs it comes down to, we know it comes down to the part where, well, basically the 6th or 7th rib. And you should know about how far down that is where you reach the 6th or 7th rib. So you can see, if you turn this off, you see the first rib. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We know it's going to be coming down to about this area here. Right, so also it kind of curves in. It kind of has this curved in here from the side view. So it kind of has a shape like where it kind of curves in like this, then comes down and connects to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 around, right on here, and then it's a little bit to the 7th. So that's the overall shape of it. We know it goes underneath the other one, kind of comes over here. And from the side view, you can kind of see we won't make it too buff, but you can kind of see it has, the whole peck will kind of come out like this. Because these muscles can build up. Now, of course, if the person doesn't work out much, it's going to be pretty flat and more towards the rib cage, but it's still going to have some, thickness to it. Might not be much, but it'll be some. I'm going to go ahead and just add in the middle space as well. Alright, so we know the main shape then from the side view is about like so. And you can see, if you draw a line straight across, you can tell that it's coming to around the same space. You just kind of reshape this a little bit though. It's supposed to be connecting right there, then coming out and up. Alright, so that's the basic shape. Let's go ahead and add some dark lines here. We know that these lines kind of come up and like this, and everything starts to come toward the center. We have horizontal lines. And we'll just kind of go like this. I like to do this particular tutorial in color because it makes it easier. I think it makes it easier to distinguish the muscles from the bones and everything. rather than doing it in like black and white or drawing in black and white or with pencil or something. I still want to show this whole. And actually, when the muscle sticks out this far, we can't really see the insertion point so much where it inserts. We can see where it inserts there on the collarbone, but you can't really see when we develop the muscle out like this large. We can't see over here where it develops because we can't see where it's connecting because it's folding out and around. So if we looked at it from like the underside of the pec muscle, like we take this shape here, we're looking up at the person. So it kind of connects to the arm and it comes out like this, and then it comes up. And so where the muscle, it's coming up like this, right? So the muscle is coming over like this, and there's this dip then right here, and that's where it's connecting. So if you're looking from this angle, this is like a cliff dropping off, and you can't see beyond it. You're only seeing to here. So from the side view, you're only seeing to here where the muscles, well, maybe a little bit further, where the muscles are sticking out. And if the muscle has more of a arch like this to it, it's not as flat, because some people's pecs are more flat then drop off. Others are more like they have the highest point here in the middle. If that's the case, then from the side view, that's the part that's sticking out the most, and that's the part you're going to see. You're not going to see any of this that droops down like a mountain or a hill. It's like a hill going like this. And so when you look from the side, you're just seeing there, all this is out of your view, right? So all these planes are out of your view. Go ahead and erase this. Right, so keep in mind that's what we're seeing then, is we're seeing it pop out, and we're not seeing it turn back around to the side and connect to the sternum. So that's why you're not going to see the cartilage, or excuse me, the tendon on that side. You're not going to see any of this right here. Right, so now for the exercise, I want you to go ahead and draw the side view, draw the pec from the side view a few times from reference, and then draw a few times from memory. Go back and forth until you feel pretty comfortable drawing it from memory, and it's in your head, and you go, okay, this is the the basic shape that the pec has from the side view. If you want, you can also draw it over here, draw the pec muscle again from the side view, and we'll go ahead and just do the basic shape here really quick. So we know the different parts it connects, and so you have the top part here. We know it's going to connect along like this, and this first part comes down, the second part is here, and this comes down over here, it has this like crisscross effect, and we know it kind of has more, it kind of turns in more here, and it comes to right about here, and it probably turns in even more, comes out a little bit like this, depends how big the person is. But this is the overall shape. Let's go ahead and speed this process up a little bit. And then I'll just color in these parts here. Okay, so if you just do it very quickly, it depends on the person too. Like sometimes the person, they might have. Okay, cool. So I'm not drawing on that. No, I am drawing under that layer. They might have more. It might swoop in even more like this before it comes down to this part here. Just like I said, it just depends on the person. Like here we have it more like that, so might as well make it match. It's going to take a dark color here. Oh, that's the eraser. No wonder it's not dark. Let's use the size 3 brush. And then we'll have this bottom muscle here. So I'm keeping this, quick and easy. Maybe I can just use that color for the cartilage. Yeah, I should probably stick to what color I've been using. Show the cartilage there and there. Not cartilage, but tendon tissue. Okay. Right, so lastly, we'll draw the pec muscles from the 3/4 view. Because we know the origination of the muscles, and we can see the angle, we can see, okay, from this angle we can actually see the insertion points. Remember, there is a space between the pec muscles. And it kind of comes around like this, and then it comes up. So we know that, the basic shape here. We know that this bottom muscle, when it comes up, it attaches to the upper part here, comes down like so. And the top one crisscrosses over that, on top of it, and it comes like so. We know it inserts into the humerus. So you know all the insertion points, and you already have the skeleton memorized. This is why it's so important to memorize the skeleton, because when you have the skeleton memorized, you can reduce the skeleton in your mind. Right, and when we're drawing from the 3/4 view, we should also keep in mind there is still this, I don't want to mess up that muscle there, but it kind of curves in more like this. It's kind of a sort of a side view. I'm just going to do it this way instead of the other trick I did. Put in the whole mass there. Draw some tendon here. All along here. Just going to kind of do it like this. This will be faster. Finally, we'll use a dark color here to separate the muscles, and then to show the fibers, the directions they go. Turn my Cintiq sideways, make this easier to pull these lines. There we go. Add some highlights here to the center. And notice again, we're not adding any sort of depth to these muscles yet as far as the form of the muscle goes. We'll get into that later. Right now, obviously from this 3/4 view, we're also going to be able to see the other pec a little bit. We know that it's going to connect like so. It's going to come down. And this is where it's kind of more of a side view, but we know it's going to kind of come down like this. We'll be able to see the depth of it. The muscle is not going to be just flat, it's going to have some depth like this. Unless the person's really skinny, we're going to add a little bit of depth to the muscle. Like so. And so now we're kind of seeing the inside of that mountain, and then it rolls over. And let's go ahead and actually use gray really fast and just kind of show the tendon fibers here where it connects. And a little bit down here, right here. Right now we use a dark color. And we still want to show where these muscles originate. We're still going to have this upper muscle where it kind of comes down like this. And then we're going to have this kind of middle section where it kind of comes up like this. And we want to show the direction of these fibers so that we know the overall direction of this muscle matches. And so it does change a little bit. It comes up like this. from this angle because that's going down, around, and connecting to the arm. Just come up. So you still have the same down and up and then horizontal lines that we had before. Just looks a little different from this view. But because you know the direction of everything, you're able to draw this correctly. Right, so we can see we're filling out the pec muscles now, and that's all the viewpoints we need to be concerned with when drawing the pec muscles. We're not going to see the pecs from here or here. When we get to the physiology, the outside physiology of the anatomy, some females, if their breasts are big enough, might be visible way out here. You might be able to see some of the breast that's laying on the rib cage, and then some of it hangs outside. You might be able to see a little bit of that. So we might get into that from the back view. But as far as that's if their breasts are very huge. But for the male, this is all we need to see. Alright, so I'd like to, try to make the videos, each video as long as possible, but I don't know if I want to also add the deltoid to the same video because then the video is going to be like pushing over an hour, but yeah, it'll definitely be pushing over an hour. So I'm going to go ahead and just stop it here at almost 40 minutes, and we'll just call that one Peck. So there you go. The next muscle we work on is the deltoid, or shoulder muscle. One more quick word, actually. You might be wondering, how is this going to help me exactly when we're drawing this? And, I should probably be more consistent here with this front muscle and make it more developed like I did the others. At first I was making it more flat and skinny, thinking that might have been a better way to approach it. But now I'm thinking the better way to approach the muscle is as if it's developed. So to be consistent here really quick, if you've already memorized this, that's fine. All we're going to do is just bring it down because it's just all it is making the person a little bit more developed, to be more consistent with what we've been drawing from the other views. And when we go over with this, when we wrap skin over the human body, after we learn all the muscles, and we wrap the skin over the human body, you're going to see how beneficial it is to know not only where the muscles attach and everything, because that just helps you figure out quickly from your mind how to draw the figure from any position. You're like, okay, I got all this information in my head. And by the way, if you haven't done exercises, you probably should do them. I know my mind's getting caught up here, but I think you already did exercise for this. Do the exercise for this. You just assume every time we do a new angle or something, you do the exercises. You draw it 3 to 5 times from reference, draw it from memory, draw it from reference until it looks right and you feel comfortable drawing it from memory. What's going to happen though, when you have all this information in your mind, where muscles attach, and okay, the arm moves this way and this way, you know the skeletal structure, the arm can move up this way, it can move inwards, it can move toward us, it can move away from us. All these different movements, and where this muscle is attached, hey, if the arm moves up here, like up this way, this muscle has to stretch and still attach to that part of the muscle, to that part of the arm, that part of the bone, and the deltoid, it still has to come attached to the side of the bone, and so you're going to get this kind of look here with the deltoid, excuse me, you're going to get this kind of look here where it kind of curves and turns into the pec muscle like this, and kind of has this kind of S curve. It kind of comes in, you kind of get that look there from a human figure, and then you can see that one muscle that we learned a long time ago. Remember, that was the corabrachialis, and we can see that muscle here, and then you're going to see the bicep come off like this and so forth, and then the tricep down here, and then these muscles. And it's important to know that, because in other words, you might be wondering, why do I have to learn all these muscles? What's really the important? Sorry, I was drawing over this, so hopefully I have enough back history. I think I do, to go back and delete all that so I don't have to accidentally repaint it. Cool. Go ahead and save this so I don't mess up anything. Right, so when you learn all the muscles and insertions and where they go, you've already mastered the skeleton. If you haven't, go back and master the skeleton. It's really very important, because mastering the skeleton is the baseline of the stick figure. And so if you go through the Master the Human Figure course first, you know that mastering that stick figure is so vitally important. Now your stick figure is to a whole new level. So what this does is it reinforces all information you have in your brain that you've gained from Master the Human Figure, and now you're able to go, oh, I can see muscles attached here and here, and it's going to help you understand exactly how the muscles should look when the arm moves around, when the leg moves around. And I just gave a quick example of the arm moving up there. knowing where muscles attach, you're just going to easily be able to put those muscles together. And also the fibers, the direction in which the fibers of the muscles is moving is important, because when you draw someone very buff and ripped and flexing, you know where to draw those stretch marks within the muscle. And when we add the skin on it, especially like the back and stuff, you can really see, oh, okay, now I get exactly why there's this line on the human figure, why we shade that in, why there's that shading, that shaded area of that back muscle. If you've already watched one of my back tutorial muscles, which is kind of done like this but not nearly as detailed, and when we go to the back we'll get a lot more detailed in that video, then you already kind of know what I'm talking about. Right, so very important to learn the muscles, so don't skip this. Very important to learn the skeleton, don't skip it. I can't stress enough, I know I've been saying it a lot, but I know how easy it is to get lazy. I myself have got very lazy when I was learning how to draw, and I skipped parts and stuff, and I just wasted time. I had to go back and do it all over again anyway. I had to go and learn this stuff, so don't cut yourself short. You already paid for the course. Why not put the time in? Put the time in, master the skeleton, fairly well, where at least you have this kind of shape for the pelvis, you have this kind of shape for the legs. At least memorize a stick figure version of it, and then you'll know when muscles attach here to the stick figure, and then the deltoid attaches here to the stick figure. When you understand all that, then you'll be able to make your figures that much more realistic when the arm's moving, because you'll be like, oh, okay, if the arm's way up here this way, I know the pectoral muscle has to stretch from here to way up there, and it's going to kind of take on a shape like this. I know my deltoid is going to be mostly behind the person, but I'll be able to see a little bit of it. Then the bicep, and you have that little muscle there, the choriobrachialis, and you'll have your tricep and so forth. And as you do that, it's going to make it so much easier. Just trust me, don't skip over this stuff. Learn it, master it, do the exercises. All right, just want to make that clear. And now we have everything matching up here with a more of a buff kind of chest where the muscles stick out more rather than a skinny person. But we'll be drawing some skinny people too when we go through some sketch practice and stuff, how to apply all this stuff. And when we add the skin over the muscles, so much stuff is going to happen in your brain and click and be like, oh, I understand why all that is. Like one thing you'll if you don't already get it now, is you'll be like, in this area where you have the shape where it kind of goes like this, and you have these these cut shapes, right, where it's kind of like this. You have that kind of shape like this. You'll understand why that shape is there, because you'll understand the muscles that are making that shape. And then it's like, it's like a no-brainer. From that point, you just get it, and you'll be able to do it every single time. And you won't be having to memorize markings on the body. You'll know why those markings are there. You'll understand the understructure of those markings, and you'll understand this bone sticks out, so that's why I have that mark in the body there. And so when you memorize all this, you'll know the markings, and so when you add the skin, the fat layers on, you'll just be able to logically figure it out so much easier and smoother than you could if you didn't understand all of that. I want to get rid of this little white mark there. Okay, so sorry for rambling. It's so important. I hope you guys understand how important it is, and don't underestimate the importance of it, and hope you take my words to heart and do the exercises and learn all this, because when you're done, man, your figures are going to look so much better. You'll be able to get a professional job. And it's the professionals, they've done all this. They've gone through the countless hours of drawing. If you want to be good at something, you got to draw it several times. And they've done all that. They put the hours in. That's why they're working for Marvel. So if you want to be one of those people that have that good job drawing what you love to draw, then you have to put the hours in. You have to do the exercises. You have to practice. All right, let's move on to the deltoid. Go ahead and save this one more time.